This is me controlling a spaceship using a homemade controller. Hi, welcome to the Creative Geek, where we help makers of games, toys and creative technology to develop their craft by understanding play. For example, through videos about extended game devices, such as this video. Here, we focus on the semi-professional maker that not only consume but also create geek culture. If you are a self-defining geek passionate about creating, this is the place for you. I'm John, and I've studied play design for well over 10 years, and even got so far as getting my PhD in the subject. I believe that play is worth taking serious, and I believe you think so too. You might ask why I'm doing this video and how it fits into the rest of the channel. And I would lie if I wouldn't say that part of it is because I want a spaceship cockpit. I've been wanting one since I was a child, and finally I'm grown up enough that I can design myself over my toys. But for you, this is a chance for me to talk about computer game design from new angles and focus on things such as immersion and engagement, not only with the digital part of it, but also with the physical side of the game. As well as tying video games into the Nordic LARP game design movement and talk about things such as the 360 illusion and playing to lose. Concepts I believe that could be used in video games just as well as in LARP. And not to forget, of course, it's also a connection to new technology such as virtual reality, augmented reality and pervasive gaming. This is a long project. It might take years, but I plan to come back to it throughout the process and touch upon all of these subjects in future videos. So if you like this combination of physical design and theoretical knowledge, it might be a good idea to click that subscribe button and maybe also ring that little bell. That way you can follow along as I discover new things and follow me from cardboard prototype to a fully functioning space cockpit. So even though the goal is to make a full cockpit, I'm starting very simple with a few components and the first part made out of wellpaper. I have a lot of these boxes left since moving earlier, and I'm taking those, and this is what it turned into so far. So it's a box with a main panel and then a front panel. We'll be able to use this as an area for my hands, and then I can have screens or other buttons over here. And that's the main look. In the future I want a side panel over here and maybe some extra things also over on this side. But the idea of this one is built around the Millennium Falcon cockpit with the main table and then an extra part on top of it. And then above that you have the screens. I'm starting this with a cardboard prototype. This is a way to try out all the buttons and switches and look at the positions of them, as well as thinking a bit about the plausibility of this project. The first version will contain joysticks, switches and buttons, things that are on any normal joystick. And the next step will be more specialized equipment, such as LED feedbacks, maybe some computer screens and specialized input devices. These need to be tied into the game directly, so I need to get the data out of the game for them to work, so therefore that's the next step. I want this device to work as a normal gamepad, although it's large. But then I want it to be specialized for Elite Dangerous as well. And this way I'm not tied into the game. I can play any game on the device, but it's better with Elite. I finished soldering my joysticks and I plugged them into an Arduino board. It's an Arduino Leonardo, because that one shows up in the computer as an external device, usually as a keyboard. But you can use a library plugin to that to make it look like a controller. So that way it actually shows up as a joystick, just like any other joystick. It's a bit of a mess, but basically this is a 3-axis joystick. Well, so it's forward, backwards, left, right, and then you can also turn the tip. And that means there's a bunch of wires, so that these are just power to the 3 actuators, and then there are 3 signal wires over here. And I'm plugging these ones into a longer wire, and then I'm plugging that wire into an Arduino. That way I can change the length of the wire and I can put it wherever I want in my final design. On the second one I solder, I actually put longer wires on it because I realized that's probably easier. The Leonardo has the same footprint as an Arduino Uno, so it will fit into the same kind of cases and those things. I had a bit of bad luck when ordering the joysticks, and one of them were broken, so I had to take it apart and fix it. But that gave me a chance to see how it actually worked. And you could see the spring here that keeps it in a 0 position. And I was actually thinking of removing that one for the forward-backward stick, so that gas would always stay the same, even if I let go of the joystick. But in the end I decided against this, as in the game there's a separate position for forward-backwards and another one for throttle, which stays in the position. And I can make one of those later. And that means it's time to actually mount it on the board. And I'm not that concerned with exactly where they end up, because this is just wellpap and really it's just an advanced sketch in 3 dimensions. So I have a few markings since before, and I will put them there and there. Switches come with their own problems, and I'm making them early just because of this. Most gamepads only have buttons, and a button is only activated when you push it. But switches, they stay in their state, meaning they have an on and an off position. Some things in the game is set so that it's on as long as you press the button, and then it's okay. But other things, when you press the button it turns on, and the next time you press the button it turns off. And that means you need a bit of programming to make it work with a switch. And you need to get data out of the game to know what state the game is in and make sure that it fits the physical state of your game device. I've already soldered the ground wires, and now I'm soldering the signals. I don't really have a trick to which color I've used for which channel. Maybe there is a good one and I don't know, so if you have one, please tell me in the comments. And if you're new to this, heat shrink tubing is your best friend. This seals everything up and makes sure you don't get any shortcuts. The best way is to use a heat gun, but you can also use this if you need to. Just be careful so that you don't melt anything. And sealed. And here on the back side you can see the 4 buttons. The middle peg is all wired together and wired to ground. So there's just one wire going out. And then there's wires of different colors, one from each. And those go to the Arduino. The black one shooting off into a small hub over here with 5 volts and ground. And everything that needs power is plugged into the same one. And the moment of truth. Cardbox controller. Wiring on the back side. I made some space over here to put the keyboard for the tryout. And that's the test for a joystick. Any joystick. X rotation works. Y rotation works. Z rotation works. other hand. X, Y, and Z. All works. And this is me controlling a spaceship using a homemade controller.